Black man, I have an obligation to my race of people, not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people.
And you have always hated us. We have loved you consistently for 400 years. We prayed to that white Jesus, and we saluted your flag, and we died in your militaries, and you beat us like dogs.
This is Black Authentic Truth.
What's good with y'all, man? I'm Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. We are in the building. I got my son up in here helping me out, Avion, and we're gonna get it in. Listen, y'all don't know what just happened. The lights just went off, and I don't know what the hell just happened. And I had to improvise. I had to nigger rig it, right, son? Mm-hmm. I had to get up in there, right, and fix it. Yeah, man, things just went haywire right before I was gonna go live. Hopefully it doesn't happen while we're live, but we'll improvise again. You know what I mean? I'm late, but I'm present. Okay, I'm late, but I'm present. I made it. You know what I'm saying? I made it in. I'm here, and I hope everything is good with y'all when it comes to. And let me just ask the brother. Let me just see. I'm gonna share this real quick. Let me just put this in this chat real quick. Ask some people to share this. All right, just give me a second. I see you, sis. What's up, Kapa? Let me just put this in here real quick. Fast and hurry. Maybe we're gonna have to get that light. We're gonna have to get another light. Get another light. Yeah. Yeah, man. Excuse me. So, hey, what's good, Ron? How you doing, Ron? So, yeah, I'm sounding good. Mm-hmm. Are we sounding good? Let me just do a check real quick. We'll check. I'll check it out real quick. There's so many things that when you're going live that can go wrong, especially when you want to have a good broadcast. And there's so many things you have to pay attention to, right? So let me just see. So many things you got to pay attention to. Yeah, it sounds like we might be. Let me see. Yeah. So y'all can hear me. I know y'all can hear me, but I want to give me 1 second. I want to come out of my Rodecaster Pro. All right. So let's get this together. My apologies. Like I just said, I just said it. I said it's very hard to make sure everything is right with your live stream. Now, if you got a team, you got it going. The audio sounds good, though. I can hear it. One second, y'all. Let me get this together. The audio sounds good, but because I'm a perfectionist, I got to do it like that. Y'all hear that? You see the difference, right? You see the difference. All right. See, I had to do that. I had to listen for myself. Yes, man, you are now rocking with the Thawahgabar. I'm gonna start over. This is Black Authentic Truth. And of course, like I always do on a Sunday, I ask brothers and sisters, how is your Sunday going? What is like where you at? Out here in Southern California, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Now we kind of done got past the really, really hot days. And now you just got those real perfect days right now. You know what I mean? It's starting to get darker earlier, but it's a beautiful day. And y'all know, I will tell you the truth. If it is ugly out here, if it is toe up from the flow up, if the weather is just disgusting and nasty, I will tell you the truth. You know what I mean? But really, it's just a beautiful day. You know what I mean? It's one of those days where you go to the park, chill with your family, or just chill in the house, or sit outside in the yard, or, you know, at your apartment complex or whatever, and just, you know, enjoy, you know, the Sunday afternoon. You know what I mean? So I got a few stories up in here that I'm gonna go over. This is not going to be you know, a long live, but I just want to apologize in advance and say that I don't have a Black Authentic Truth story, and we're not going to do the quiz this evening. But we definitely going to get it in, and, you know, bring out some history, talk about some subjects that are pertinent to the Black community. Get into a Black on Black crime, the phrase of Black on Black crime. Like, why is that such a big deal when we know that all groups commit crime? Also, the pastor that said that Black people, well, two pastors that said that white pastors, I should have put that in the title, that said that Black people, you know, we should go back to the law of Moses, and Black people should be stoned to death if, you know, if they out of line. And also earlier this week, I had posted a picture on the different platforms of some archaeology of King Tut's footrest, and it had you know, different peoples or races that the Egyptians considered their foes. It was called the Nine Bows. And so I will go over that also, talk about that a little bit, and just get into the you know, that Pan-African aspect that a lot of Black people stand by and believe in. So yeah, without further ado, I mean, can't nobody tell me how they Sunday is going? Ron, where you at? How your Sunday going, Ron? You know what I mean? I'll just wait a minute to see what, like, you know what I mean? I like to interact with brothers and sisters, and you know, get that feel for, you know, how things is going. Everything going okay. Shalat said it's good. It's good. You know what I mean? That's what's up, man. It's good to know how things is going. And, you know, we need that as Black people. We need to connect, and we need to stop acting like strangers, and stop acting like we can't talk to one another, and that our lives are our lives only. We all live the same experience. Ron said, good, brother, in Dayton, Ohio. That's what's up, Ron. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, we got to stop acting like we just exclusive and we live our lives to ourselves. When you really get into it, you find out that a lot of Black people live similar lives, even though we may be in somewhere else. We may be, you know, in another state, in another country. When we really start to break it down and find out about how things are where we come from our perspective, we really find out that we have a lot of things in common. The weather might be a little different. You know what I mean? The trees might be a little different. But when it comes to the Black experience,
we have so much in common that we haven't tapped into. What's that noise? If you could. Okay, yeah, please. Yeah, so I'm going to get shout out to the sister Madana. If I'm saying I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but shout out to you, sis. Shakat, shout out to you. You said your Sunday is going good. Tawab in Hebrew, in the Paleo Hebrew, Tawab is good. Okay. And so I want to talk, first of all, now there was this big explosion. Did everybody see that big explosion? I think it was in Tennessee. It was a plant where they were manufacturing different explosives and stuff for the United States government. Well, it was an explosion, and I think it was 19 people they couldn't find. Like when you see the building before and after, there's no building. It's literally like it is a burnt spot on the earth. So right away when I seen it, I said, those people were, they were nuked. You know what I mean? They can't find anyone. They were nuked. Like they were literally, they had TNT in there, all type of explosives. I mean, they're manufacturing weapons. Okay, sis, that's what's up. Okay, I pronounced it right. They're manufacturing these weapons, and somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody was vaping. Maybe somebody lit a cigarette. I don't know. But a question I got, the Thawahgabar got is, was it any DEI hires? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being real. Was it anybody that was DEI that was manufacturing those weapons for the government? Also, there was two helicopter crashes? And it was one in, I think it was one in Northern California, and it's a video of it actually crashing and sliding onto the freeway. It was one of those helicopters that I think they had just lifted somebody, and then it crashed on the freeway. Go ahead, if you could you got your microphone. I think they just go ahead. No, you good.
There was 3 helicopter crashes. There was the one that was on the road. There was this other one that was in the pond. And another one that was crashed into a hotel or something.
It crashed at the beach. It was at
Newport
Beach.
At a beach.
Yeah, there was 3 helicopter crashes. And the question once again is posed, because remember, Donald Trump was talking about when those airplanes was crashing, he was talking about DEI people. And Charlie Kirk was talking about what was Charlie Kirk saying? He was saying, I hope that when I get in the airplane and I see a black pilot, I think to myself, I hope he's qualified. Well, my question is, was those any DEI hires in those helicopters? That's my question. Most recently, you had 3 helicopter crashes. You had this explosion at this plant. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was in Tennessee, that this plant was manufacturing explosive materials for the United States government. And you gotta ask that question. It's asked when a black woman has a position. It's asked when a black man is a pilot on the airplane. So we have to actually ask, when these helicopters and airplanes crash, who's at the hand of them flying them? Is it a DEI hire? Is it a white person? Is it a black person? Who was it? But anyway, I'm gonna move on. Let's get so I want to talk about black on black crime. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. And so we hear the term black on black crime. Avion, if you could, I need you to do what I was asking about, please. If we will, not right now, but I need you to focus, okay? Y'all got to understand that I'm got my son here and I'm training him. I'm trying to do something different where we both are doing it together. Now, when it comes to the black on black experience and us hearing the term black on black crime, I want to ask people that's listening, when was the first time that you remember that you was hearing about black on black crime? When is the first time that you heard the term black on black crime, if you can remember. Now, for me, I heard the term black on black crime. I remember it probably, I was a youngster. So we're talking about the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I was hearing about black on black crime. I was hearing that, you know, in my mind, I was as a youngster in elementary, in my mind, I started to look at Black people as though, you know, and me, myself, as a young Black male, you know, we probably won't make it because of black on black crime. Most young males probably won't make it to the age of 21 because of black on black crime. Renee Gaines said it was the 2000s for me. And so that's what I used to think in the 90s. I used to think like, you know, because of the you know, the stories that were coming out, black on black crime, this, black on black, it was a shooting here, it was a drive-by shooting here, this, that. And then they started to put it into the movies. Because of that, I used to look at it like, you know, I don't know, man, I'm 12 years old, but who knows? I might not make it. And listen, I'm a Black boy that wasn't gang banging, playing basketball, but still it was embedded in my head that, you know, I got to watch out for black on black crime and that I might not make it to the age of 21. Ron Coleman said the 90s, me also. So we're the same, Ron. And so this term, now it is a term that is really ingrained in society today. And I done talked about it on here on this platform, and you done seen other people talk about it and point out the fact that Black people are not the only people that commit crime within their own community. You know, white people commit crime against other whites. Asians commit crime against other Asians, Arabs, and so on and so forth. And so you always thought to yourself, or recently a lot of people are thinking of, you know, more people are waking up and seeing the game that has been ran on them. Excuse me. The game that's been ran on them, and they say, well, why is this such a big deal in the media and in the public eye when we talk about the problems of America? The number one problem they talk about and the number one stain and disgrace is black on black crime, or what's going on in Chicago. You know what I mean? What's going on in the inner city? What's going on in urban areas? We need to curtail this crime. We need to, you know, fix this problem that, you know, it seems like these people are natural born criminals. So I want to talk a little bit about black on black crime and you know, where it stems from and where it comes from. So what you have to understand that is right out of slavery, many whites were trying to and attempting to connect Black people to criminality. And we're talking about right out of slavery. They were trying to put the jacket on Black people that they are like prone to criminality and that they are natural born criminals. And it's kind of funny when you think about it, when you think about the people that once just had you in slavery, now they are pointing a finger at you and saying, you are prone to criminality. You are likely to be a thief, and you're more likely, you know, to rob someone and murder someone. The irony, right? The irony of the people that robbed, you know, raped, assaulted, murdered, lynched Black people were now saying you are the problem. So the idea that Black people are prone to criminality is not a new idea. It's not a new phenomenon. It started right after slavery. The people that were brutalizing you, that were committing terrorism against Black people, started to say, you are criminals. You are prone to take things and steal things. You're a thief. And so I need you to understand that black on Black crime is not something that is, you know, a new thing. Them saying it, them pointing at Chicago as though Chicago is the biggest problem, when you done had at least 7, 8 mass shootings since Charlie Kirk. But the pathology of whites is that, you know, they feel as though they're benevolent, they do no wrong, and Black people should be thankful that we are even, you know, in their good graces. You understand? That's the idea. They don't see what we see. Like, we see it all. As I said before, Black people are not, we understand what right and wrong is. We understand the problems that we have in our community. And we know that if you take another person's life or you do some stupid, heinous thing, that justice needs to be served. We understand that. We also understand that we see all of these things happen in the white community. But while they're happening in the white community is still pointing the finger at Black people. They're still pointing the finger at Black people. They're still saying, you know, look at Chicago. Look at gun violence. And so right out of slavery, like, I'm going to go back to what I'm saying, like right out of slavery, they were trying to connect us and make us criminals. And let me tell you something. Do you know what Black people do you know what Black people were doing when they was in slavery? What was the thing or the crime they was doing in slavery? One of the things they were doing in slavery, they were stealing. Black men were stealing while they was in slavery on the plantation. And do you know why Black men were stealing and what they were stealing? I'm gonna just wait and see if anybody knows why. If anybody puts it, you know, anybody comments, because this is an interactive thing, and I want to, you know, go back and forth with my brothers and sisters. Exactly, Shalat said, food. Black men were stealing food. Why? Because you work 16 hours a day and you have these small rations. Sometimes you have something that is not enough sustenance for you after working all that time. And at night, while everybody's asleep, a Black man would get up and go steal some potatoes, go steal a chicken, because he was hungry. His children were hungry. His wife was hungry. The sister was correct too. Marina, she said it too. That's why Black people in slavery would steal or would do something that they know is wrong. Okay. So now as we fast forward during the time of the 20s and the 40s, what you have is a time where Black people were actually doing a lot better. And of course, like in every group, you have Black people that are criminals, like you had white people who were hardened criminals. You know, it's real funny. I'm a sidebar real quick. It's real funny that America forgets about the criminality of prohibition and the criminality of mobsters doing drive-bys and, killing one another. Those white mobsters, I mean, we forget about all of the, people who did the first drive-bys, the real gang violence, the smuggling of drugs, or at the time, at one point in time, alcohol was considered, illegal to even have. We forget about that. But getting back to the 20s and the 40s, what you had was a time period with the Black community where Black crime was overlooked. And so Black crime was overlooked. And, unless a Black person did something to a white person. And then you fast forward to the 50s and the 60s and the civil rights era, it was typically the same thing. Black crime was kind of overlooked as far as being, as law enforcement actually trying to find out and get the person who committed the crime, especially violent crime. A lot of times the assailant would never be found because the resources and the effort put into something, a crime where a Black person did it, it was basically non-existent. But now if that Black person did something to a white person, they would definitely find that black person and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. And now we're at the time where you have Jesse Jackson. Now, Jesse Jackson started to complain that it seems like the white officers would only, find out who did it when the crime was committed against a white person. And so people like Jesse Jackson actually got the attention of white policymakers. And these white policymakers, especially during the Ronald Reagan era, used black on black crime as a push to gather support. And that term, that phrase got a lot of wind behind it. And when that phrase got a lot of push behind it, it became ingrained in political phrases. It became ingrained in the consciousness of America that it was an actual thing that is something that Americans need to pay attention to and be aware of. When in reality, it was the same across the board with all races. And so it never really was a thing, but black leaders who looked at the government and chastised the government for not going as hard as they would go if it was a white victim are the ones that actually got that black on black crime thing rolling. That phrase, that derogatory phrase, now I look at it like that, it doesn't tell the whole picture of why crime even exists. Now, people have did studies and research on crime, and we know that crime is intimately connected to poverty. When there is a lack of resources, when there is a lack of education, you can expect for there to be a higher level of crime. But instead of looking at those reasons why the crime exists, what white America does is just blame black people. You see, they just say, you black people are criminals. You're more prone to criminality. And you go in history and you can see this whole thing was made up. This whole thing is a figment of your imagination. Now, does crime exist? Like I said earlier, of course it exists in the black community the same way it exists in the white community. You never heard the term white on white crime. You never heard white politicians and white policymakers blame and charge white people. Instead of what they do is say this. They say, well, he didn't have a father in the home. Like he was bullied at school. He came up, a lonely person. He was in foster care. That's what you hear them say about white people. You don't hear that with black people. They don't care about your reasoning or what you're going through are, the factors that lead up to crime. They don't care about that. You're used as a prop, and you're used in a way in the psychology of white America is what people have called white guilt. So with white guilt, it's the feeling that how evil and wicked their ancestors have been and them to black people. And so they feel this guilt, but they fight against it and say, you know what, I don't have to feel anything because look at what's going on in Chicago. They're killing everybody. They're killing each other every weekend. They use that to say, I don't have to feel anything. I don't have to feel bad about slavery. I don't have to feel bad about my people doing what they do to you because look at what you do to yourself. And they stand on that. They stand on it. You understand? They stand on that. That is empowering to them to see, okay, the crime in Chicago, the crime in urban areas. And it's like, you don't deserve, for me to have remorse or have an apology or have any type of level of compassion because look at what y'all doing to yourselves. Now, of course, if we didn't have black on black crime, of course, they would find something else to be mad about, as they always do. As they always do. But that's what black on black crime is and how it came to be. That's how it came to be, the phrase black on black crime. which is, a manufactured phrase. In reality, yes, Black people commit crime. In reality, yes, there is violent crime against Black people commit against other Black folks. And also in reality, usually the hardened criminals of a community is less than 5% of that whole community. There's a lot of hardworking Black folks, a lot of decent-minded Black folks, but they paint Black people with a broad stroke and say, in a general sense, it's you. You're the problem of America. You're the thing in America that we need to clean up. Yes, we have whole shows, whole shows about murder and scandals when it's just all white people on television. You can see, yeah, we got serial killers and all that and mass shooters and all of that. But, forget about all of that. I don't even see that. What I see is the problem is in America is Black people. The sister Kappa said, Dick Gregory said it best. You kill where you live. Yes, that is so true. And, many of these people know this already. They know this already, that you're more likely to do something to someone you live in close proximity to. It's a natural thing. If I was to go to China, or what is it, North Korea, if I was to go to Russia, I'm sure no Black people is committing crime there. I'm sure the only people committing crime against the North Koreans is other North Koreans. But here's the kicker, y'all. What about when one race commits a crime against another race? What about when one race commits an atrocity against another race? What about when one race will commit a crime against whoever happens to be at Walmart, whoever happens to be at a church, whoever happens to be at an elementary school? We don't want to talk about that, right? Don't nobody want to talk about that. And when I say don't nobody, I'm not talking about Black people. I'm not talking about brown people. You know who I'm talking about. So anyway, that's Black on Black crime. That's Black on Black crime. And I'm going to move on. Okay. And we're going to move on to another topic. So let me get this video. I'm going to pull this video up. Okay. And this is a video I came across that was interesting. I thought it was worth talking about. I'm going over real quick.
You wanna know why Satan goes so hard after Black people? It's because Black people are the beginning of human civilization, and Black people hold the key to the bridge between Earth and the divine. And what I mean by that is Black people, right, are the closest to the divine. It's the beginning of civilization. And it is Black people are the spiritual bridge between Earth and the divine. So it's all about how far you have strayed from spirituality.
So what this appears to be an Asian woman, what she is saying, I absolutely agree with. Now, I have a different understanding, but in the basic breakdown of what she's saying is, why does Satan go so hard at Black people? And it's because Black people are the connection between the spiritual and the physical. Black people are the most spiritual people on the planet. In fact, when you look at other races, you really can't find another people that have went through what, and I'll use Black Americans as an example, that have went through what Black Americans have went through and still are highly spiritual and very forgiving. I mean, very forgiving. I'm talking about, and Christianity says, turn the other cheek forgiving. I'm talking about let bygones be bygones forgiving. That was a long time ago. You're my brother in Christ forgiving. When other people are not like that. If you put another people in chains and in slavery, and you subject them to, racial profiling and Jim Crow and lynchings and things of that nature, they don't never want to deal with you like that again. A good example is what happened to the people in the Holocaust. They don't want to buy a German car. They don't want nothing to do with the people who did the Holocaust, who did that to their ancestors, but not Black people. We're very spiritual. And what she's saying is, like, when she's talking about Satan, you can look at this two ways. You can look at it as a spiritual entity, or you could look at it like as, the people that embody Satan right now on earth. And every time you look around, they're saying, look at these Black people. Look at what they're constantly accusing you. Constantly. Even when their house is on fire and burning, they're looking at your house and saying your grass ain't cut. Your flowers need trimming. The HOA said you can't park like that. And so it says why Satan goes so hard at Black people's identity. And she also said, like, Black people have lost their spirituality. You got Black people in all kind of stuff. And when I say we're spiritual, I mean that. But spirituality doesn't mean anything if you don't know what your identity is. So you can be half naked and burn sage and walk around your house and sit down and cross your legs and do all of that stuff and pray to the universe if you want to. That's not going to fix what's going on with Black people. That's not going to fix our families. That's not going to fix our young children, our young men out there in the streets like raging bulls. None of that is going to work. You can make up your own spirituality. You can go to church on Sundays and literally learn nothing. Don't learn anything except dancing and, having watching some entertainment. Other than that, those things are not going to work unless we figure out our identity. Our identity is being God's chosen people. That's our identity. And until we can connect to that, we will continue to see the things happen to us that happen to us. We will continue to fight for this and fight for that in a never-ending cycle. We've done all of these things that literally don't have the answer, but we're still doing them. We've done Islam, we've done Christianity, we've done, spiritualism, and, God is a universe. Matter of fact, that's another thing I should go into. Where did all of these things come from? These man-made religions. And a lot of Black people think when they talking about God as universe, they think that they're doing something revolutionary that's different from Christianity, different from another religion, when in reality, some Greek created that idea and that ideology. So the point is, we got to get back to who we are as a people. We got to get back to what our ancestors did. We got to get back to what our ancestors did. You got to go before the transatlantic slave trade. You got to ask the question, why did Black people, if we're all the same, get put on slave ships by their own family? That don't even make no sense. You got to go before that and find out who we really are. Okay. So I agree with this Asian woman, and it's a shame that an Asian woman understands this and many Black people don't. It's very sad. It's very sad that many of our people don't get it and are still trying to carve out something in their own frame of thought in these last days in America, as though is going to work out and is going to be peaches and cream when it is not. It's never going to be. But, you know, there's a brighter side to it by learning your identity and knowing who you are. All right. So there's another story I want to go into. I'm going to drop this video. If you could. Kofi, the Black critic, said, if we are God's chosen people, that means God is a bigot because he made some people better than others. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if God could do what God wants to do, and if God chose to have a people, if he created everybody and he has what he created and he has a people that he loves more than every other people, I mean, I can't argue with that, because at the end of the day, he created everything. Like when you go into your closet and you have all of these clothes and your garments, and you say, well, you have something in there that you preserve because you love it a lot. You got a pair of shoes, something, and you know, it's the same idea. These are your things, and you have a right to like what you like because it's all yours, you know. In the dogma, the Christian dogma says, the Christian dogma that we all grew up with in our mind says, that's not fair. That don't sound godly. It's like, who are you to even say what God can do or what he can't do? You know what I mean? Our life is very quick in this world. Like in the big picture of time, in the big picture of the history of the world, our lives are like a flower that grows up and then it blows away. You know what I mean? Go ahead, if you could. Go ahead, put it up. You said, Randall Robinson said, Jacob created the white man, the Most High didn't. And you know what, Jacob? If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I believe, I'm sorry, Randall. I believe Jacob was the big-headed scientist, right, that the Nation of Islam talks about. If you could, go ahead and, you know, if you can answer that. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but from my memory, Jacob was a big-headed scientist that created white people. No, I'm not asking you. I'm asking Randall. You don't have to look it up. I you know. Yeah, so let me see where we want to go. You said yes, he was. You know, well, you know, that's I believe that's the Nation of Islam's doctrine. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but I believe the Nation of Islam, well, I know the Nation of Islam started from a white man. The Nation of Islam in America, not Islam itself. Islam itself is the Arabic or the Ishmael's religion. There's not much, you know, documentation that I know of whether it's truth or not, but I do know the truth is that Islam was started by a white man, or I should say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his father was a white man. Okay. And it was, you know, but when it comes to Islam, I don't have anything against the brothers. Very great organization. When I look at that organization, but when it comes to what I believe in and who I am as an Israelite, believe it or not, let me just tell you a story, Randall. As an Israelite, you know, it doesn't make it any less true, you know, according to someone's perspective. But when you look at the origin of the white man, there is no history of Jacob. Like there is no history of a white man just coming out of laboratory. And we're talking about ancient times. But there is history of them being the Edomites, later on being called the Idumeans, and then in Indo-Europe being called the Yamnaya, right? And when they went into Europe, and this is according to white archaeologists and anthropologists. I'm sorry. This is according to their own people, that every modern European descends from these people. And they almost have made a connection from modern white people today coming from the Middle East. And somewhere, now there's an Asian man named Keith Chang at Penn State University for medicine who cracked the code of where white skin comes from. And he did it by doing experiments on zebrafish and trying to figure out what is the gene that makes white skin. And he came to the conclusion that white people and Asians are mutations of Black people. Now, does that give credence to the story of Yacob? You know, that's somebody else's perspective. But what we do know is that white scientists, archaeologists, anthropologists, Asians have came and agreed that white people come from a certain place and that they come from Black people. This shouldn't be new to us as Black people, because what they always say is that all races come from Black people. According to the Bible, the white man was born of a Black man and a Black woman. You know, that happens today where two Black people create all shades of people. You know what I mean? It happens today all the time. It's not far-fetched. It's not something that is impossible. It actually happens. And so, yeah, so I don't, if you could, I just slow down because I want to be able to read it. I heard you clicking, but let me see. It says that is a white supremacist idea of looking at people. So you have no problem with the white people enslaving Black people for the same reason your so-called God agrees with. It's not making sense, and I just don't have the time. If you want to talk about, you want to articulate yourself, because I instead of reading your comments, I would actually like to talk. You can come up and I can, if you want to do that, I will put it in the chat, the link in the chat. You saying I don't have so you have no problem with the white people enslaving Black people. Of course I have a problem with white people enslaving Black people. You must be new to Black Authentic Truth. You must haven't seen some of my stuff. You can put that down. Anyway, where are we going? We're going to go to all right, this is an interesting video. Well, it's a video that's enlightening. It was something that we already know, but this is something you can use in your repertoire when you're talking to white people and they're trying to say, why you don't pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Why Black people are so far behind? Okay. So let me put this together. I went kind of late, so I guess, Black Rain might tap in later. Okay.
Does marriage close the racial wealth gap for Black Americans?
Apparently not. We know now that the average white family, that's a single parent family, has about 2 times the wealth of the average Black family that has 2 parents.
So cross that off.
Yeah.
Does going to college close the racial wealth gap for Black Americans?
Well, I'm definitely a fan of going to college, but it doesn't close the racial wealth gap. A Black head of household with a college degree has 2/3 of the net worth of a white head of household who never finished high school.
Cross that off.
Yeah.
What about savings? Black people should just stop buying Jordans and save their money. And if they did that, if they saved all their money and were better savers, they could close the racial wealth gap.
Right. So if Black people weren't so attracted to bling, we'd eliminate the racial wealth gap. Well, the evidence suggests that that's not true either. If anything, if we were to take into account the income of the household, Black households save as much as white households.
Wow.
And in fact, in some income categories, Black households actually have a higher savings rate than white households.
So if the actual facts don't back up this notion that Black people just need to change our behavior and we could eliminate the wealth gap between Black and white Americans. Why are these myths so persistent?
Well, I think part of it is ignorance. I think that people have misperceptions about a number of things, and some of these misperceptions are about American history.
So you heard that. So we're talking about the gap between Black and white people. And as you heard this gentleman explain that being more educated doesn't close the gap between Black and white people. Saving more doesn't close the gap. In fact, he said Black people in a lot of aspects save better and save, more than white people, but it still hasn't closed the gap between Black and white people financially. Also, Black people spending their money on frivolous things like, shoes, Jordans and rims and, designer clothes. That still is not an indication of the reason why there is a gap between Black people and white people. So I guess after I seen this, I said, well, I guess, I've been eyeing this pair of Nikes and thinking, no, I can't spend that. I can't get them. They're over $100. So I think maybe now I'll get the shoes now. But being more serious, when you really look into that gap, let's just say the unemployment gap between Black people and white people has been virtually the same since the 1970s. Even with affirmative action, even with DEI, none of those things have affected, they like to say, a DEI is racist because it makes people hire more Black people. Well, apparently not, because the unemployment gap has it has gotten worse. During the time of COVID, the unemployment gap got even bigger between Black and white people. From the time of 2020 till now, it's bigger. I think it was 5%, between 3 and 5% from the 1970s until that point, and now it's got worse. So they're talking about DEI did not affect the unemployment gap, I'll tell you that much. Also, when there was an article that came out, and in this article, it said that it would take, and this article was written probably about 4 or 5 years ago. You can look it up yourself. They said it would take 228 years in order for the net worth of a Black family to reach the net worth of a white family. So all of this stuff about you're complaining too much, stop complaining, you're making the wrong choices. You don't know how to save money. You spend your money on weaves and Jordans. You got a victim mentality. You need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. All of that doesn't mean anything. And what this brother said, and what I just explained to you just shows you that there is systematic oppression. There is a systematic discrimination. There are systems that no matter how high you get or how hard you work as an individual, that reflect that the Black community and the white community are still separate and are not equal. Okay, if you could, one second. I didn't even see this, but I'm gonna drop this link real quick. Hold on 1 second. I'm calling you out, bot Aviant. Let me drop this link for this brother. There we go. Yeah, so at the end of the day, even though you may work hard and Black people have worked hard, Black people have put their best foot forward. Black people do want to work. They do want to excel. We do want to take care of our families. The gaps that we see financially and in unemployment, those are manufactured gaps. Those are created situations. That's a created situation. We're not on a level playing field. Many of us do get blessed, and many of us do, get through the cracks, and we get, really, really good, excellent opportunities. But in the vast majority of our people, statistically, this is where we're at. And these are the changes that have not been made. Okay. These are the from when you talk about an unemployment gap from the 1970s, and you have, policies and laws instituted so that it'd be easier for Black people to go to college. It'd be, more likely that a Black woman or a Black man will become a CEO or something like that. Even with all of that, it didn't change the unemployment gap. So the system of oppression is so strong that even when they enact laws in order to treat Black people fair and equitable, still doesn't make a difference. Still doesn't make a difference. Right? Crazy work. Okay, so now let me drop that video so I do not post it. Let me see where I want to go. So yeah, I'm gonna get to this last story. That's what, like I said, it was gonna be short. Go ahead. Yeah, whenever you want to. Whenever you decide to do that. Okay. So now I want to get to this story about these two white Christian pastors. I said that Black people need to be stoned. All right, I'm gonna share the screen. Oh, before I get to that, let me get this real quick. I almost forgot. Let me pull this up. Oh, it's a wait. Hold on. I see the brother right here. So let me see. 1 second. 1 second. I see him. Let me. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, bro.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Got you.
I'll remove that. Okay. I almost didn't even see it. Okay, brother. Can't wait. Let me see. Is he there? Okay. Okay, brother. Can you hear me? I'm ready now.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, so I was misunderstanding. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. If you could you say it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can.
What you trying to explain?
Yeah, so basically I'm just responding to you were basically saying about Black people being God's chosen people. So you read my response to that, and you're basically saying, well, hey, that's what it is. If you look at the things in your closet, certain gear you like better than the other, this, that, and the other. I kind of disagree with that because, I wouldn't degrade people to just, just things, right? To just accessories. So my follow-up statement to that, if that is your ideology, because religion is an ideology, right? So if that is your ideology of what God is, right? If you have no problem with God having favorite people, God created all people. So if you have no problem with God, right, favoring one people over the other, you should also have no problem with slavery, because that was the same white supremacist mindset that white people had, and that you say, you know what, we're white, we're strong, we're powerful, we conquered these Black people, and according to them, according to that same Bible that you're using, we have the right to have dominion over those people. And at the end, I said, a man, you can't have two masters. You can't be saying, well, this is what I agree with what God did, but when other people do it to you, well, I don't agree with what those people did. When you both listening to the same God. So that's where I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. If you could, so you're making a connection between saying white people saying that they were superior.
Well,
like how
according to your doctrine, because I don't believe that is, I believe in a higher power, I believe in a higher being, I believe in a deity or whatever, but I don't believe that that is a mindset of God. To me, that is the mindset of man. Only man, like no one looks at children and say, well, you know what? I have these 5 children, right? I love all my children, but you know what? I want that one to have dominion over that one, but I like him better. And I don't mind if that one kills and betrays and harms that one. That's not what a responsible, loving parent does.
Okay. Well, so you believe in God, you believe in if you don't mind, what God do, who is the God that you know as who you believe in?
Look, I don't believe in Judeo-Christian religion, so that goes for the Abrahamic religions. I don't believe in any of that stuff because it's basically is a non-black philosophy. Those philosophies are philosophies that was forced upon us even through ancient times, and there's a lot of proof and evidence to say that, other than the fact that we are the quote unquote so-called people of the book. But that's pretty much where I'm landing. But I'm not here so much to challenge your philosophy, but your train of thought as of, well, okay, slavery is bad and dominion is bad, but at the same time, I have a religion that approves slavery, but when those other people do it to me because they feel I'm inferior, that's wrong. You see what I'm trying to say? You're like, you can't have it both ways.
I understand what you're saying. Now I get what you understand. Now, when it comes to the Bible does not approve slavery. The Bible, what the Bible does approve is for you to have what you call, what we would know today historically is indentured servitude. Meaning in people, I don't know if you're familiar with the type of slavery that was in Africa. That type of slavery was not like what white people did to us. You was not.
No, I understand that's chattel slavery, and there's indentured servitude, debt servitude. But there's nowhere in the Bible where I see where it says slavery is not forbidden. The Bible tells you how to treat a slave.
Well, I'm thinking you getting it mixed up with slave and a servant. There's 2 different things. You understand?
That's semantics to me, brother. But go ahead.
That's not semantics. There's servitude and there is slavery. The only slavery that is in the Bible is the Israelites being enslaved by the Egyptians. The only real hard bondage. Any other type of slavery is a manservant, a maidservant, and these are people that would have the same privileges as the family and even marry into the family. And so that's why I brought up African slavery, because that's the closest before colonialism, before the Europeans came to Africa. The closest type of slavery that's in the Bible is the type that is like a servitude, where you would literally have privileges just like the people who you are serving. Now, when you get into slavery, like what we know today, because of the American school system, then we're talking about a whole nother ball game. And I'm not saying that this is just for you, brother, but I feel like a lot of black people, a lot of people in general, look at that. Like, what was one of the scriptures they use in slavery that people bring up a lot? It's the scripture, slaves obey your masters.
Slaves obey your masters as you do obey Jesus.
That is not even talking about slavery and how we look at slavery. That is literally talking about a student obeying the person that is over him, like a lord. Like you have a man that is over everyone, and he is a master. And at one time you'll be learning from him, and then you'll become a master. It really has nothing to do with how we think of what slavery is coming from American perspective.
I get you, but that would be like I see what you're saying, without being an apprentice. Nowhere in the Bible where they use apprentice, even though the word Bible is a Greek word where it means biblos. So they know what Greek words are. So what you're describing, I do understand, but that would be someone of an apprentice, or that you take on someone to master. But when you read these stories in the context of what they're saying, people, it depends what version. For Black people always use the King James version because that's the version that we were given to since slavery. So then you got the new revised version, and you have other versions, right? So the closest thing we could go to it would be the King James version. And when you look at other versions of the Bible, they will replace words. They will replace words, and it takes the sting out of certain, and change the meaning and the context out of certain words. So I do what you say. I don't know the exact scripture, but I have seen things in the Bible where things were replaced or removed. So when I was young, people say, well, the Garden of Eden is in Africa, because when you read Genesis and the creation story, it talks about the rivers flowing out of the Garden of Eden. And one of the rivers, I think it was a river, I forgot the name of the river, and it said it flew out into Ethiopia. But when you pick up another book, it talks about those rivers that's flowing out, and they leave Ethiopia out. So this is something that we have to really do our homework and do our due diligence, because they do a lot of wordplay to take away a lot of credit. Even though I'm not, believing in Abrahamic faith, but I do believe white people take a lot of things that's in the Bible that gives Black people a lot of credence. So I would agree with that.
Okay, well, see, we can agree on something. Now, I agree with what you just said also about the other versions. Now, many people, and I just seen it was a post that I seen. I think it was on TikTok yesterday. I seen it where a woman was talking about, I don't know why you believe the Bible, because she went into King James was this and that, and he changed and it's changed so many times. And I said, there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to the King James version or the 1611 version. And many people don't know, you probably do know though, brother, but many people don't know that King James he didn't rewrite the Bible. He employed Hebrew scholars and Greek scholars to transliterate the Bible. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that the common folk could have the Bible. And because of that, the Catholic Church battled King James, and they put out, nasty rumors about King James, because that's all he did. Now, I'm not saying King James was a man of God. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is he had the power to get it transliterated into the old King's English for the common folk, because before that, only people of nobility could actually have the Bible in their hands and read the Bible. You know what I mean? So, and it's not really just for you. I know you probably know, but a lot of people, not just Black people, but a lot of people say, well, the King James version is this. And I also will say, to add credence to what you said, when you start getting into these other versions, yes. Before I go into that, I'll just say that the King James version is the closest to the Hebrew. It's the closest transliteration to the Hebrew. But when you start going into these other versions, like I know the one, it's like NIV or something, I believe they've taken like 45,000 words out and scriptures out. You know what I mean? So I don't deal with, all the other stuff, but there's just, I'm just agreeing with you about what you said about when you start getting into these other versions, things change real quick, because they take the sting out of the words, you know what I mean, and out of the real true meaning. And also to go into what you were saying about white folks, will you agree? Well, I agree with you on that too. Of course, I agree with you on that. That they've done a lot of things to take away the fact that these people were Negro people. They were Black people. You know what I mean? When it comes to I'm forgetting what I was going to say, but anyway, brother, I just wanted to say that it might come back to my mind, but go ahead if you had anything else.
I totally agree. I mean, I disagree that Hebrew people were Black people like we would refer to in this day and age in this hemisphere. But were they melanated people?
Not to cut you off, if I could, why do you disagree with that?
Because when we saying Black people, right, you may disagree, right? But genetics and history says different. I don't know if you disagree or not. When we say Black people, because we're speaking English and the history that you and I have been through, Black means African, right? So when a white man says the Black person, he don't mean the South Pacific Asian guy. He don't mean anybody from Papua New Guinea that has Black features. No, he means the African. So that's why I would push back on that, because white people know what an African looks like. right? So I don't see from my studies and my research that I have seen, I haven't really seen, if we were to go back in those days, those people that we will call African, we wouldn't really consider them African like you and I. Like the Bible speaks of different groups. It speaks about, the Hamites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, and, there's different people. So we know who those people are, right? When we say black people. So when certain people that try to find blackness in the Bible and they say, well, we're the chosen people, but no, you're not, because you're not saying you're black. You can't say you're black and your tribe is Canaan. It's Canaan and Hamites, and you can't, you know what I'm saying? So, or people of Cush, those are Africans. Then you have, you have chosen people and you have Gentiles. So there's different things. That's the one thing I'll push back on. The second thing will also be, when the reason for King James is to build upon what you just said. During that time, during Europe, the authority was the Pope. So what King James did was something kind of sort of revolutionary, because everyone had to listen to the Pope. The Pope was authority. But King James was like, wait. You all the way there in Rome, and I'm here in England. So what happened from my research, King James wanted to get divorced. And, through the Catholics are not supposed to get divorced, blah, blah, blah. And he had to get permission from the Pope. Hey, look, I want to get divorced. The Pope was like, no. So they kept going back and forth. So King said, you know what? I'm going to have my own version of the Bible and do it in my way, because I'm King of England and you're the Pope of Rome. So you don't have any jurisdiction over here. So that's one of the reasons why on King James, like I agree with you, it had those particular scribes for that same reason. So yeah, but I do agree with that. It was one of the points I wanted to make that you said, but I'll just land the plane there for now, brother.
Oh, it's cool, man. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming up, man, and us having this discourse. And look, maybe we can do this again, man, because you seem like a very intelligent brother that we can bump heads and we can learn from one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like, besides the whole religious stuff, I subscribed to you a long time ago. I catch your I look at it afterwards, whatever. I was like, I like what this brother's saying, and all the things you did with the wealth gap between black people and white people. And I like what you put there, because white people would say, look at these black people buying Jordans and the bling bling and all that. Brother, I'm of age. I'm a middle-aged man. I never bought a pair of Jordans in my life coming up when it was popping. Right. Like the generation ones. Not everyone wore Jordans. So I like the fact that he says, even if the stereotypical black people stop doing all these things, there's still a wealth income gap. Because when white people say that, they try to take the onus of all the redlining and the economic discrimination that they have waged upon us. They say, well, no, it's black people's fault. No, we're not going to do that here. And I love that you're doing that. Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's like, man, it's like we even do that to each other. Like black people even say, well, other black people doing so bad, you need to stop buying Jordan. You need to stop doing this, stop living this way, and make better choices. You get a lot of black people that are, affluent, or they might be famous or celebrities. And sometimes they even take that same stance as white folks and talk down on black folks. It's like, well, I made all the right choices. If you would have did what I did, because, I came out of Compton and I came out of South Bronx. I came from a low place and I did it. I don't know why you can't do it. You making excuses. So, what I brought out right there and what that, that elder was saying was just for us to realize, like, man, it almost don't matter what you do. Not saying that you can't be successful, you can't, live the type of life that you want to live, but there are invisible barriers that when we say they're there, they will say, white folks will say they don't exist. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, I don't want to go too long with it, but another thing that I'm remembering now, but how I understand, and from my studies and my understanding, is that all people of the time period we were talking about, when we go back in history, all people at one point in time were black, and they just were not the same people. They were different races, different nations, but all quote unquote melanated people. And the white man comes a little later. He comes a little later. Agreed. He's the last branch of so-called humanity, and he knows it.
Right. So So yeah, that's what I wanted to get out. And I just want to say I appreciate you for coming up, and I'm glad that we was able to have a civil discourse and go back and forth and bump ideas and
Hey, brother, this is what we need, man. Look, I'm from New
Mhm.
York. I don't know if you know anything about the ISP UK and Brother
Man,
Polite.
I'm in the ISUPK, brother.
Oh, okay. So I know
Yeah.
I seen Tazariak. I used to go to all of that. So
Yeah. So
they
you already
probably might
know.
recognize my face if I go around it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's
So
up.
we have conversations. It's heated conversations, but the love and respect there. We all know we black people, and regardless of what we all in this same boat, brother. So
Yeah, because whenever I know that I have an opposing view to a black man, it doesn't even matter that I have an opposing view in a way, because I feel like there is something we can agree on off top. There's going to be something that we're going to talk about that we definitely can agree on because we black men in America. You know what I mean? And also I just want to say that was the point. That's the reason why you didn't know that I'm an Israelite and I'm in the ISUPK, because part of Black Authentic Truth is for me to go out and bridge the gap. You understand? Like, that's why I'm not this platform. I'm not pushing technically what I believe on people. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking
exactly, because
about
I didn't know you was a Hebrew Israelite. I thought you was a brother spitting truth.
Yeah, exactly. Look, the scriptures say that Jacob was a supplanter. Jacob took, he tricked his brother out of his blessing. And so the same mindset, I'm a supplanter when I come into my people. I know there are things that I can talk about that I don't care what you believe in as a black person, we can all agree on. Yeah, and if that's what we're going to unify on, then that's what we can do. That we can just unify on that. It don't even matter to me. It ain't even about me. It's about us having a common goal and us all having the same, same roots, no matter what state you're in. You know what I mean?
And I want to also say that one thing, because white people could put away their differences. Oh, you're a German. Oh, you're a Frenchman. You're this. When it comes time to kick black people ass, they all on the same ball. So why can't we do that? Why can't we do it? We like 95% have things in common. You're gonna let religion, that's it. That's white people know how to put religion to the side. Like even the Muslims, they'll talk about, oh, Allah, God, my hand. And white man will pray, with white Jesus, blue eyes, blind, oh, Jesus help me. But guess what? That Arab is picking up that sword and cutting your black head off, and that white man's picking that gun and putting a bullet to your fucking head. Then after that, he thanks his God. We doing it the other way around.
We doing it the other way.
There waiting for shit to happen.
For real, bro. That's so true. That's so real, man. That's so real. What's your name, brother? I see it. Kofi. Man, it was nice talking to you, brother. It was a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate you coming up.
Same, brother. Thank you, man. I look forward to
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I look forward to whenever I'm live and you might, you on the live and it's something I say, I look forward to you popping in whenever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, man. I got my own channel, Kofi the Black Critic, whatever.
Okay.
And
I'm
basically, yeah, and I hope to have, I like this build. I like a very civil build. I really love this, brother. Thank you. Keep doing your thing. I'll listen in the back.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Peace. Yeah, man. See, that's beautiful. That's how brothers come together. That's how brothers come together, and just hash out things, talk, bounce ideas off of each other's heads. And, that's what real unity is. That's what real unity is. He's in New York. I'm in California. Listen, 6 degrees of separation. He know Captain Tazariak. Captain Tazariak was just here, 5 days ago? He was just here, right here with me. You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna pull up this picture. I got this picture, and this kind of goes into what me and the brother was talking about. I was going back about in ancient times, all people were black, and I wanted to speak to the idea of the Pan-Africanism and the unity. And I don't want y'all to get it twisted, because I'm going to go against what I just said. So like a lot of times black people, what we do is It's only with us. It's not with Africans. Okay. And we say, well, we need to be unified with Africa, or we need to have this Pan-Africanism, and it never works. Or we might question throughout all the years, why haven't Africans, the people that, the brothers and sisters that sold us to Europeans, why haven't they came over here and helped us or got us? Of course, they have their struggles too over there, right? But I hope this illustrates, my argument and my point that I'm making. So I'm gonna screen share this. Let me see. All right. All right. So, like I said, I had posted this. A few days ago on my platform. I had posted this. Now, this is the footstool of King Tut, and on his footstool, this footstool is called the 9 bowls, and on this footstool, you had 9 enemies. Now, some of these enemies are Semitic enemies. They're Nubians, Libyans. These are some of the traditional enemies of the Egyptians, and I'm going to blow it up real quick. So these traditional enemies, oh man, let me go right here. These traditional enemies are all black. They're all different shades of black. These traditional enemies. Now, on here, you have identified as Hebrews, Nubians, and Libyans. The Hebrews got the headpiece, the headband, and they have fringes on their garments. It's gilded in gold. It's inlaid and gilded with gold. And let me see if I can zoom in a little more. So now the Hebrews has the Semitic has this is a known custom of Hebrews to wear what you would know today is like a bandana, like a bandana tied around the head. You've seen Moors do this a lot, but also they have fringes on. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. I did not mean to. They have fringes on the garments, which is also a trait of Israelites or Semitic people. Okay. And a beard, of course, which is also, the Egyptians despised Semitics, which would have been Canaanites, Israelites. They despised them. They called them, sand dwellers. Similar to how white people despise Mexicans today, and they called them wetbacks and things of that nature. The Egyptians despised these shepherds, herdsmen, people that had sheep and flocks. They were despised by the Egyptians. Oh man, I thought it wasn't showing. But anyway, the point that I wanted to make is that even in ancient times, there was no unity based on just being a melanated person. If you could go ahead. I know I took it down. Don't worry about it. Well, I'll put it back up. I'll put it back up for you. Yeah, so even you see back then, the Egyptians had enemies, and the Egyptians were a Hamitic race. They were Africans. I know today you have the Arabs that are basically Arabs are mixed with Edomites, white people that are in Egypt today. And they claim to be Egyptians today. And they're not the Egyptians. The original Egyptians were Hamitic people. They were Africans. And their enemies as Hamitic, dark-skinned, melanated people were other dark-skinned, melanated groups. There was never no global unity in ancient times between other dark races. But in America, black people, we kind of move like that and think that we're all supposed to be unified, whereas we have all the signs and how even when Africans come here and treat us, how they act towards us, we have all the signs that we are not the same people. Like spiritually, a black man, a nigga from, black people, spiritually, we're different. We're different. It's not wrong with it. Now, you go to Africa, you have 54 countries, you have multiple ethnicities. I brought a video out, a while ago, probably a year ago, with scientists that were just breaking down the genome of Western African groups and saying there's differences. There is nothing the same in all of their genomes. Like everyone is different genetically. When it comes to the Nigerians versus the Congolese and the Sinhalese, they're all different. And you can tell visually. You can look at Eritreans and say they're not the same as Nigerians. You can look at Somalians and see they're not the same as Falasha. It's just so many different, it's so much variation within the dark race. It's the point I'm making. So from what I showed you, the enemies of the Egyptians were blacks too. Number one, at one time, all people on the earth were black. Number two, all people were black, but they were not the same race, not the same nationality. And number three, at no time was there in ancient times with all these black races a unity based on the fact they had the same color skin or they were melanated people. It never happened. And so from that perspective, black people live in a fantasy world. We live in Wakanda, in America. We just don't see what the truth is in America. I'm all for that. I'm gonna leave it alone, man. I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay. So now I want to get to these pastors, and I'm gonna go more into it. I'm gonna go into it. But yeah, I know some of y'all probably seen this video. You probably seen that these two pastors talking about black people. Kofi said, if you could put that up for me, please. Africa has more genetic diversity than any other people in the world. Right. So I'm going to go into what these devils said. And it's not surprising to me, but I'm sure this is surprising to a lot of people. So let me pull this video up on my screen share. And then I'm gonna get up out of here. Oh, I can just. How do I do? Okay. I have to. All right, 1 second. Now, mind you, these devils was mad because this is the week. Okay. This is right before Charlie Kirk. So this is when in the news, they're talking about Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed on the bus by a black man. Okay. So let me get this together. Let me drop this. All right. Make it big. Let's play it.
You think for a little bit before I say something, because I want to tell the truth, but I also want to be helpful. And I want to be clearly understood. So this
I want
was
to
one of
offend
those.
people intentionally.
Exactly where I want to offend them for exactly the right reason. Sifting my own motives, that sort of thing. So I was mulling it over, and even for overnight before I shared it with you, we were talking about the cold open. You're writing the cold open. I'm helping editing, like we're doing all this, and we're kind of collaborating on this and saying, well, I have this tweet. Let me Let me send it to you. But the more I've thought about it, the more true and just I believe it is. So in the context of in Titus, the book, the letter to Titus, Paul is training Titus, essentially a bishop. He's going to the island of Crete, and he's going to establish.
Let me speed up a little bit. Let me see.
Like this, and then he lists the qualification. They molest children.
Be like, yeah, we got that white girl.
We got that white girl. And when you think about it, you look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and character?
Yeah, 5% of young Africans are committing the bulk of the murders.
So if you had 100 black men in America, a room, even just, I think specifically, if you had 100 black men in a room, 5 of them would have committed murder, which is a lot. Quite a few.
Well, and as Matt Walsh pointed out, the actual number of blacks who are committing murder is more than whites. Right. And whites are significantly greater.
60% compared to 13%
percentage of the population. Yeah.
So if you take that, and then you took a law like Deuteronomy 21, which is a just law that God enacted through Moses. The law was that if you had a rebellious son, you have a child they're coming up into their manhood and they're rebellious. They don't listen. He lists some characteristics, and even though they're disciplined, they will not turn. He says the fathers to bring them out into the town square. This is a rebellious son, and then they stone him to death. They kill him.
And an armed robber would certainly be one of those.
Oh, absolutely. Armed robber, all the ghetto
violent
culture.
Crimes.
Basically, take ghetto culture, it would describe this to a T. If you did that over 3 generations, how much violent crime would you have in the 3rd and 4th generation?
Now, let's just breathe in real quick. Think about what he just said. Like, these white pastors, and let me just say, because when the brother was on here, these are some things I wanted to say too, but we don't have that much time. Christianity is a religion that started in, the Byzantine Empire. Christianity, a man-made religion, is what was given to black people when they came here and they were on the plantation. That same Christianity is the Christianity where presidents and regular white men own slaves, own black people as property, as chattel property, meaning your life was like a life of a dog, of a horse. So that same violence that they perpetrated in the inception of America, that is the Christianity. If you're a black person, that's what you're following today. And now you have these white pastors that are now speaking on Christianity doesn't, says that you don't have to even follow the Old Testament. They're using the Old Testament to say black people, particularly black boys, black men, should be stoned to death. Mind you, Christians do not even deal with the Old Testament of the Bible, or should I say the Torah. They don't even deal with those rules. They eat pork. They do whatever they want to do. They celebrate all these holidays. But these Christian pastors, these white Christian pastors, racist, what you call them, a Christian nationalist pastor said, this would fix the black community. Now, remember earlier what I was saying about, how where the term of black on black crime comes from. And right after we got out of slavery, you had white people pointing the finger at black people and trying to connect criminality to black people. Trying to say, your culture, you are a criminal. And we need to do something about it. White people the white citizens of America need to beware of that dark black boogeyman that is walking around in every town, those black people. Now, it's funny to me that they go to, the Old Testament to say black people should be stoned. And after 3 generations, it affects the black community if you get rid of the evil. This is the thing. This is the premise of the organization that I'm in ISUPK. We're teaching black men how to be righteous We're not stoning them. You don't have to take someone's life to change their life or to change your community. What you have to do is, what we have to do as Black people is go back to grassroots and get in the community, be in the community, get to know the people that you live around, mentor young Black men. You see a Black man that needs help. You see a young sister that needs help, and you know they need direction and help, and they don't got all the tools at home. Then get involved with them. You know what I mean? Give them some advice. Give them some encouragement. I said it earlier. Black people know the problems we have in our community. There's a lot of decent, hardworking Black people. We know what's going on with our community. We don't need some white pastor to tell us what's wrong with the Black community. The white pastor needs to be focused on the school shooters in the white community. He needs to be focused on his community. Focus on what white folks are doing to white folks, right? Focus on what white folks are doing to other people that are not white. Black on Black crime, Black people don't hurt other Black people because they're Black, because of the color of their skin. And there's a scripture. It's funny that they would go to, the law, but there's a scripture in there that, I want to read. And I hope that, these white pastors will see this, and white Christians that think this way. Just give me a second. Let me grab this. Go ahead. No. Just give me a second. So let me just give them something that maybe they looked over this one, since we want to really go there. And it's funny because, everybody doesn't have to believe that, right? But the people in the Bible were not white. The Bible fell into the hands, or should I say, the Bible was never lied. It just fell into the hands of people who were liars. It fell into the hands of people who are the physical incarnation of Satan here on this earth. So while they're talking about how, the Bible says if you have an unruly son, you should stone him. And that's what we should do to the Black community. It also talks about a man shouldn't sleep with another man. I'm sure that pastor ain't condemning that. He ain't condemning the LGBTQ. You get my point? Everything has to be Black people's fault in America. Everything. But let me get it. Maybe the pastor, he should hear this one. This is Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. You know what captivity is? It's slavery. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. I know they don't know that one. But in history, there is a people that led another people into captivity, another people who is God's people into captivity, chattel slavery. And it said those people gonna go into captivity for servants, bondmen and bondwomen. And when we talking about something where the earth is going to be turned upside down. The people who were on top right now is going to be on the bottom, and the people that's at the bottom are going to be on the top. It's just crazy to me that somebody like, they would have the audacity, but we live in a time where, Charlie Kirk was saying what he was saying. Charlie Kirk was going ham saying what he was saying, and nobody was, saying anything about the things that he was charging black people for, about, black culture and the 13% do this and that. And what's so ironic about that is that his life was taken at the time when he was deflecting a question and trying to bring black people into it. And it was just a sweet irony the way that happened. But we live in a time where people are becoming more bold, that because Donald Trump is in office and because he is emboldened the white supremacists, now we live in a time where they are really showing their true colors. A lot of them are. You have a lot of content creators that are now showing their true colors and saying how they really feel, which, you know what? I actually respect it. You know why? Because I'd rather be around someone that I know doesn't like me than be around someone that acts like they like black people, but really they feel like these so-called men of God who could never actually be men of God because they are Edomites. The Lord didn't even call these people to even serve him. They don't even have to serve him. They have in God we trust on the money, and you know that the God they serve don't look nothing like a black man. But yeah, man, I think this was a good live, man. We talked about a lot of things. I had the brother Kofi come in here, and that was a good bill going. Maybe I can start doing that more. Maybe we can start, having discussions and stuff. In fact, I did have an idea to have a platform, a panel on Black Authentic Truth, like a 6 to 8 man panel, women included. That would be something that would be beneficial, I think, and talk about the things that I talk about. Not just me, but I'm just saying like the topics that Black Authentic Truth is all about. So yeah, that was beautiful. And let me just give some shout outs to people. Appreciate everybody that was in here. Shalat, my main man, Kapa, my sis, Shakati was up in here. Ron Coleman always rocking with me. May Dana, sis May Dana was here. You know what I mean? Appreciate that. Renee Gaines, sis was up in here. Appreciate you. Karatazar was up in here. Kofi was up in here. Appreciate that, Bill, brother. Yeah, let's do it again. Money Green was up in here. Randall was up in here. Appreciate that too. Ron New was in here. Appreciate you. And Sister Baratha Nawa was up in here. Quadasha Allah was in here. Appreciate both of y'all. You're always in here. Perry Coleman was in here. Appreciate your input. The brother said most stats brought to the table are false and contrived in the first place. I agree with that. Definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, so with that, y'all, I think this was a good live. And I know I went late, but stuff happens. Anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate brothers and sisters. This is Sunday. I know it done got late. I want y'all to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Stay out the way. Don't do too much. I know tomorrow's Monday, getting prepared for that week. You got to work. You got to go to school, whatever it is. But yeah, man, I love y'all, and y'all stay up. This is the Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. I'm here. One second. Let me drop this real quick. I have my son in here. Aviant was helping me. Shout out to him too. And we will see y'all next week, okay? Possibly next Wednesday, all right? All right, y'all stay safe. All right, peace. Hey, that song right there. Well, I think I'm gonna go. Let me. This one too, right here. This one right here too. I mess with this. It is. It's so smooth. I wish I could do an instrument. What is that? What is that? A saxophone? Saxophone. This the all-time great right here, though. That's oh, for real. For real, that's some sipping music. For real. Just sit back, unwind. Let me put this. My bad. My bad. Yeah. Play it at the next cookout. Yep. I'm about to sip right now. I think I need something to drink right goddamn now. This other one. So this is what I start off with. This is my, my Black Authentic Truth actual sound. But I said, I like other kind of music too. But this is the yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is that. This is my first this is my first little soundtrack, authentic sound to Black Authentic Truth. Y'all know I don't usually do this. When I end the live, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play, let's play some of this music. I know people like it. Shalai told me yesterday, and I was like, that's what's up. Sometimes I be feeling like I'm the only person that like it. Yo, when I was in high school, we used to freestyle. Check me out, yo. It's Thawahgabar. I'm trying to do what I can. You know I'm raw. It's Black Authentic. You know I did it. I'm rapping how I'm rapping. Yeah, I gotta get it. Donald Trump is in the office. He's doing too much. Me and my people, we love too much. I love blackness. Attract this. You already know how it is. We get active. Yeah, I'ma do it. Do it how I do it. Yeah, this is my music. And I'm coming off the dome. About to go hard before I go home. Might have a little wine. I'm trying to shine. Sit with my wife and watch something. Yo. Yeah. Yo. That's a real freestyle. A real freestyle is not you writing something and having something memorized. You just come off the top of the dome. You know? Let me think of something. Yo, I had a good live. My people in here, all my people real live. Yo, this is real me. I'm spitting how I spitting it. Yeah, you'll see. Man, all that stuff is bogus. We are the truth. You already know this. We like to read and write. We do our stuff. And I'm not talking tough. I'm rough. Yo, and I don't even puff. I used to, but I said, say no to drugs. All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. Hey, listen, check me out. I'm coming out with a Black Authentic Truth album. It's gonna be 10 tracks. And look out for that 10-track album. All right. I know I sound way better and polished if I write it down and rehearse it. For real. All right, y'all. I'm about to get up out of here, man. Listen, let me get this music. Where's the music at? All right, y'all. I'm about to get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all once again. You know, I love y'all as a brother to my brothers and sisters. And I might not even know you personally. I just want to say I love you. You know, stay strong. This world is always trying to, you know, do something, get up under your skin. Just act like it don't bother you. You know what I mean? Tomorrow at work, before you go to work, say, F this job, but go to work, be courteous, be professional, and don't pay it no mind. Get there, get your money, go home to your family, enjoy your family tonight. And that's what it is. All right. So with that, without further ado, I'll see y'all later. All right. I appreciate y'all.
No other nationality, just the black people.
And you have always hated us. We have loved you consistently for 400 years. We prayed to that white Jesus, and we saluted your flag, and we died in your militaries, and you beat us like dogs.
This is Black Authentic Truth.